Hey everyone, James Labrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to or watching the podcast Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian. Enjoy this. These guys are extremely informative. I love their dialogue. I love their interpretation of the songs, who and what we are, what we were going after. They're very accurate in their interpretations and descriptions, and I just think this is a great show, and these guys are doing a stand-up stellar job. So once again, enjoy Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Talking into Infinity, a Dream Theater-centric podcast. I am your host, John. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com, the CMSnetwork.com, and the CMS Network Rumble page. We are at those locations every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are watching on YouTube, please do us a favor. Click that like button, click that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time we go live. And I do have breaking news for Brian in the background. I have a breaking news announcement of a upcoming live show you guys might want to take part in. So other than that, guys, if you are looking for video replays of the show, just go to our YouTube channel or the CMS Network's YouTube channel. If you are looking for audio replays of the show, just Google Talking into Infinity Podcast, and we are on any number of awesome podcasting platforms where you can get all kinds of great stuff, but nothing better than Talking into Infinity. Without further ado, let me bring on a man who finally could be bothered to do a show and actually put forth extra effort to do tonight's show. He is at an undisclosed location because his house has no power and might not for another week. So without further ado, my very good friend, he is, of course, Brian Hendrickson. What's up, man?
Dude, are we finally doing this? Am I finally back?
Dude, I give you a lot of credit. Like you had to bail on a couple shows, and of all times, you picked this topic. Ironically, I did not, which is a big surprise to probably most people. But and then we promptly had tornadoes and tornado-esque weather throughout much of Northeast Ohio a couple days ago, and it's knocked out power to like 2/3 of the area, and you were affected. So you are now at your father-in-law's place, correct?
Yes, I am, Doylestown, Ohio. So I'm actually not that far from you. Neither them nor you guys lost power. So last I looked, there were still 260,000 people in Northeast Ohio without, and the county I live in is like 21,000, I think, is without, and that includes us. So
that's crazy, man. That's just crazy.
So yeah, but the show must go on, like you said, and I'm super excited to do this show tonight. New friend I met while on the Monsters of Rock cruise, and I wanted to set you up with a good show too, man, because I know that you just went to the concert. I know you kind of already talked a lot about the concert, but I don't think you delved that deep into the catalog and whatnot. And I thought, man, what a better time to do that than you just been to the show.
Sure. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was pretty crazy, and we do have a special guest to discuss this with, as you mentioned. So before we get into the topic at hand and start discussing all things Van Hagar, let's bring him on. He is the co-host of the Potter Than Hell podcast, and as you mentioned, you met him on the Monsters of Rock cruise. This is Mr. Steve Wright. What's up, man? Thanks for coming on.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Always good to be here. Good to see you again, Brian, and JT, you as well. We did an episode a couple months ago too, right?
Yep. Well, was I on there? I'm trying to remember. I think we were trying to set it up. Maybe I was drunk. That's not an uncommon. That's not uncommon for me when I'm podcasting. Right.
Nice.
But yeah. So now, Steve, like, have you gone to the Best of All Worlds tour? Are you going to go to the Best of All Worlds tour? Or is that something that you're not able to make this time around?
No, we went. I went on July 27th. We saw them at Homedale, New Jersey. Myself and BB, one of my fellow co-hosts on Potter Than Hell, and great show. I'm sure we'll get into it.
Yeah, it was. I saw it 2 days later here in Cleveland in Cuyahoga Falls. And man, I tell you what, that was, I mean, I'm a huge Van Halen guy. I'm a huge Van Hagar guy. And I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, Steve, but like for me, it absolutely exceeded expectations. I mean, I was so excited for this show. I stayed as spoiler free as I could. I'm one of those people like, don't tell me the set list. Don't tell me the set list. And I did have a few, social media ruined a few songs for me. But for the most part, I really, was spoiler free. And I tell you what, man, he pulled out some amazing choices. And for somebody who's going to be 77 years old in a couple months, I thought he sounded great.
Yeah, I thought so too. I had a little inkling of what they were going to play, but I didn't really delve too deep into it. So we went. Actually, I hadn't planned on going. I didn't actually have the tickets. One of our guests that we have on, Jen, she had had a procedure a couple days before, and she wasn't able to go to the show. So we bought the tickets off her, so she didn't lose the money on the tickets, and I'm glad we did. The only thing about the show was that kind of I didn't care for, like, the seats were a little too far to the side, so we really couldn't see the drums. So
okay.
When the pictures I took that I have of the drums, I had to like walk on the side, but they were good seats. We were the 200 section. The venue was fantastic there. The place was absolutely packed.
Yep, ours was too. Yeah, it was, dude. It was like. I kind of had seats to the side, but I knew that I got aisle seats, but in like the far left section, but the inner aisle. So it really wasn't too bad. I was probably at like a 45-degree angle to the stage. And I thought I was going to be a little further back than I was. And I was pleased. I got second row in the second section. So probably the equivalent of your 200 section. And, again, it was just awesome. And like you said, show was packed and ours was as well. And, the set list and the sound and just, man, oh man, it was just fantastic. So, Brian, appreciate you coming up with this topic because, twist my arm to talk Van Halen at any time. You know what I mean? So real quick question before we get going here, Steve. Obviously, there's a hotly debated topic in the Van Halen camp that rages forever. It's the eternal flame. And that is, of course, Roth versus Hagar. So do you have a preference?
I'm predominantly a Roth guy. And
okay.
I think that speaks to age for when I came, because I started listening to Van Halen in 1980. So Women and Children First had just come out, but my buddy's sister had Van Halen 1 and Van Halen 2. So we were, right on board, third year that they're having albums out, and have had every album, since then when they came out. So I'm predominantly a Roth guy, and I was always a Sammy fan. I love the Sammy, his solo stuff. I was a fan of him. I was a fan of Sammy since probably 83 when he played the Philadelphia Jam with Journey, because my buddy Rob, he ended up going to that. So then we kind of delved into like some of the Sammy solo stuff, and like VOA, Standing Hampton, just those albums are great. And even his newer stuff is there's it's kind of what I think of as the Van Halen, Sammy Hagar stuff. I like a lot of it, but I don't like all of it. There's just some really good stuff sprinkled throughout.
Yeah. For me in Sammy's solo career, I think that's how I would describe his solo career personally is, I like a lot of stuff, but there is a lot of filler, but I think it's not awful. Brian's favorite song is Dick in the Dirt, but
that's a good one.
That's the one he always references.
Then she kicked him where it hurt.
Yeah.
Nice.
I call it Richard in the Mud, just it's like the PC version. One of the other things that in the Van Halen camp that's always brewing is the big controversy, Mitch Malloy or Gary Cherone. A lot of people, I think, argue about that over and over. But no, joking aside, like, Steve, did you see any of the Roth era tours then? Like any, like 84 or any of those?
Yeah, I saw them in 1984 in Philadelphia. Autograph opened up for them. And that was right before Autograph got booted off the tour. And I want to say he Autograph played maybe 2 or 3 shows after that. But I got to see them on the 84 tour. It was absolutely fantastic. We had a bus trip. It was crazy. Like there wasn't anybody on the bus over 21. There wasn't anybody that was sober. We got stopped by the state police, and some guys did damage at one of the rest stops, and they came on the bus, and we had to take up a collection to pay for the damages and stuff. And the two guys got
God.
arrested. It was freaking crazy. But the show was great. We had a great time at the show, and it was great. I was glad I got to see Van Halen back in the on the classic lineup in the classic era. But it was 84. They only had it was their last tour with Dave until 2011 or whatever. But fantastic. Just so glad I was able to say that I got to see that.
Yeah, bonus points for Autograph too. Opening, I love Autograph, man. I wish
too.
I had seen them back in the day. I don't really like I don't even know what this stuff is they're doing now. There's like no keyboards and there's no original numbers or anything.
Yeah, it's like,
but it's not the same.
Autograph Beyond or something like that.
Yeah, especially being a keyboard player, I'm like that was the big part of that band. But yeah, that's awesome, man. I was wondering. I figured you probably had seen them, but yeah, that's very cool.
Awesome. Well, let's dig into it. So, Brian, again, thank you for coming up with this. We are going to be going through our top 10 Van Hagar tunes. So the question is, did you guys rank them in order of like favorite to least favorite of the 10, or did you just have a random list, or how did you guys do it? Because I know Brian and I are never on the same page with these rankings sometimes. So
I kind of just randomly picked sort of what I thought would be for sure 10 I would want to hear live, and maybe not pick the most obvious on all 10, because it'd be really hard to just pick all 5150, I guess, if you wanted to.
Okay.
And so I tried to mix it up a little bit. I have some in here where you're going to be like, oh my God, probably. But I know you like pretty much everything they've ever done. So I don't think there's anything I'm going to get booed on. So.
Right. What about you, Steve? Did you actually rank them, or did you just kind of have a random list?
My top 5 are my top 5, and from 6 to 10, they teeter and they can be moved around and stuff. And so that's how it goes. Because my number 1 has been the first time I heard it, and it's even probably a top 5 Van Halen song out of all eras, and my number 1 song.
Awesome. Yeah, I had a list of 16. And then I whittled, so I've got 6 that are kind of left over, and then I took the other 10, and I would say top 4 are pretty much cemented in stone, and the top 2 are actually my 2 favorite songs of anything, period. So yeah, so I actually did rank mine from 1 to 10, so I'll start with number 10, but yeah, so real quickly here, Travis Snyder, good to see you, man. He says, quickly putting my list together now. I'm going to see Sammy 2 weeks from tonight. Dude, you're going to have a kick-ass time, man. As Steve and I were saying, yeah, it is a fantastic show, man. It's just excellent. Sammy brings it, Mikey brings it as always, and, I mean, man, it's Jason Bonham and Joe Satriani. What more can you want? So,
yeah, JT, I walked out of that show, just to go back to it real quick.
Sure.
I walked out of there going, Joe Satriani was my VIP of the night, or my MVP of the night. I thought his tone was great. He played, all the stuff you wanted him to play, and he wasn't trying to be Ed Van Halen, but I thought he just did great. I thought he just killed it. I thought.
Yeah, no, I thought he was awesome too. And this is going to be such a stock answer, but for me, honestly, the VIP was Sammy. But I think for me, it's because he didn't take the easy road. He could have easily done, okay, well, here's the stuff I can still hit easily. But no, he went, no, here's what people actually want to hear. And he busted his ass vocally. The stuff he couldn't quite do, he was very smart, had Mikey kind of do it. And so I give him a lot of credit for not, basically taking the night off. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So, all right, well, why don't we get going here? So I will start with our guest co-host here tonight. Steve, you are up first. What is first on your list here? If you want to go from bottom to top, or save your best for last.
Yeah, I'm gonna go bottom to top for sure. I have Source of Infection from OU812 as my number 10 song. I like Fast Van Halen. It's kind of a throwback to like Hot for Teacher, I think, and I love the background vocals in it, and the kind of back and forth in it. I think it's just and I'm not a massive fan of OU812. I think there's a lot of stuff on there that I don't like, but this is one that's just, I think it's a scorcher, and it's great. Like I said, I love the fast Van Halen, the rapid stuff. Love it.
like the boogie. Yeah, take one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I think in terms of replay value, I actually go back to OU812, I think the most. But for me, it might be because I played out the other three so much that I think now it's like OU812 is one I didn't listen to a lot. But yeah, I think it's a great choice. Sammy hates that lyric, but I mean it's got the interplay between him and Ed, and that's super high,
Yeah, that back and forth is just fantastic in that.
Yeah. So Travis Snyder as his number 10, he's got Judgment Day, an excellent choice. Rob, I hope I don't mess up your last name, man. Thanks for tuning in. Rob Karkahangas.
Nope.
His number 10. That's right.
That's my buddy. That's the Rob Karhukangas.
Oh, Karhukangas. Okay, sorry.
He's Canada Rob from the Monsters of Rock cruise.
Oh, there we go. Okay, Canada Rob.
That's right.
Thanks for tuning in, dude. So his number 10 is Best of Both Worlds. He says, despite a lot of people not liking this one, I don't know, man. I think that's a huge favorite because
who the hell doesn't like that one?
Yeah, that's if you meet somebody who doesn't like that song, you got to question their Van Halen fan cred, I think. So, Brian, what do you have at number 10 on your list?
I'm going way outside the box here. I've got "Dream Is Over."
Nice. That's one of my additional 6. Yes.
Oh, I love I love all those songs that start with the slides and squeals, and it's that killer circular riff. I've got a few opinions on my thoughts on the albums as a whole. So I'll start with, since this is off on Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. That to me has the most experimental, just changing it up every time on the chorus, throwing in a little bit extra bouncier things on the verse, and some of the bouncier harmonics he does on the verses of that. I don't know. It's just smooth, silky, ear candy, the vocal, the harmonies. And so for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, I do think, again, I think that's the most experimental and the coolest guitar stuff going on in that one. I'll put it that way, and then I'll give you my thoughts on the other albums this week as I come to those. But
okay,
yeah.
So Mike's Musical Rehab at number 10, he's got Dreams, another excellent choice. Honestly, I could have just had one selection on here. It would have been the Collection 2 and called it a day. But,
Me Wise Magic.
Yeah, there you go.
Love that one.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you're right, Brian. I mean, for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge is known as pretty much like the guitar / hard rock album of the Sammy era, even more so than 5150 is. But yeah, there's some really, really cool stuff, that Eddie's doing on this. And it was, I remember when it came out back then, it was, I was 15 years old, and I read all kinds of things about the record and how everybody was saying it's like a return to form. And, 5150, some people, especially the old school fans were kind of saying, they were kind of saying like, oh, well, I don't know about the keyboard tunes. And then OU812 comes out, which is definitely, the softest of the records. And I think a lot of people are like, what the hell is this? So for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, they basically went, Eddie was just blazing. So I think you're spot on that one, Brian. Aaron Taft at number 10. Thanks for tuning in, man. He has AFU Naturally Wired, another great song. That one almost made my list of extras. That was a close call for me on that one. But at number 10, I myself have Take Me Back, Deja Vu off of 1995's Balance. This is a song that for me just has always been really catchy, and I think it's kind of like, not to phrase it in a cheesy fashion, but it's kind of like a little ray of sunshine in the middle of like kind of pretty dark album. So it's more of a throwback to a happier time with the Sammy lineup. It's always sounded like that to me, and it's just really upbeat, and it sounds like you're on a beach, and it's so catchy, and I do have a little bit of a personal appreciation for it because my guitar player Jonah and he'll get drunk in the middle of the night. We started this a couple of years ago, and he'll set his phone up and play the opening acoustic part and send it to me, and then I'll send him back a video singing the first line, couple lines of the verse, and he sends back more guitar. So we basically kind of perform it over the phone, like in little pieces. So yeah, I just love this song, and it's Again, I think on the Balance record, which again is dark and kind of brooding, and especially knowing what we know about it now, you can hear a lot of the tension in that album. I think this one is a song that does not go along with that, that sort of vibe. And so I really enjoy it for that reason. So, all right.
That's kind of an anomaly on that album, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Can't Stop Loving You and stuff like that. And,
I mean, it's like if you want to call it like the most happy, crappy song on there.
Yes.
I think you could get, for the feel that you get for the rest of the album.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it almost kind of is. It's almost like, So This Is Love on Fair Warning, Fair Warning is just this, it's like overdubbed and layered, and Eddie was pissed off, and we know all the stories about that. And So This Is Love is just a total left turn from the rest of the record. So I think this is kind of like that as well. So,
well, there's something about too when Eddie plays acoustic guitar, like nobody sounds like that. Nobody has that tone and that attack and the way he plays. And I always wondered, like, what would you think if he was still around? Like, could they do an acoustic thing? Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
like, I would love to see something like that.
Interesting, that's for sure.
I don't necessarily mean even strip down what they have to acoustic, but just doing a whole album of like just new stuff with just him and an acoustic and Sammy or something, just to see what that would sound like,
Well, I mean, Eddie hated playing acoustic. I mean, he.
Oh, did he?
He said that, and on the special features of on the special features Blu-ray or DVD, whichever it is, of your favorite Van Halen record, Brian, A Different Kind of Truth, they have 3 acoustic songs, and it's cool. I mean, it's cool to hear it like that, but it does sound a little bit weird because it's something that you never got outside of something like Could This Be Magic, or something like
Big Bad Bill.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect example, man. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that would go over. So
I mean, if he hated playing acoustic, then there goes that idea right there, I guess.
Yeah, he said he was never a fan of it.
Yeah.
And it's weird too, because when you watch that stuff, I think they call it the Downtown Sessions or something like that, with a Different Kind of Truth. You can tell when he's playing, like, he is attacking the shit out of that guitar. Like, it's very aggressive. And so it's an interesting watch. You can find it out there on YouTube if you guys haven't seen it. So Mike's Musical Rehab says that opening riff from Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do is great. I totally agree with that. Rocketman 137, always good to see you, man. He says, I feel dumb. I thought Why Can't This Be Love was Hagar. It is Hagar. I was talking about, so this is, did I say Why Can't This Be Love? Did I misspeak?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Well, you did say So This Is Love, but you were talking about Fair Warning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The song I'm referencing, Rocketman, is So This Is Love off of Fair Warning. So, all right. So Steve, what do you have at number 9 on your list?
Number 9, and it's unusual for me to pick a ballad. I picked Not Enough from Balance.
Oh, nice.
And
okay.
We did a ballad episode a couple of years ago on Hotter Than Hell, and actually Jen picked this song, and at the time I really hadn't heard Balance in a really long time, and then we have the playlist for it, and I came on, and I was like, wow, it was really good. So I had to throw that in there. I had to give a little props for a ballad, which for me is like almost unheard of. But really, really good. I think the piano in it is fantastic. Sammy's the emotion that he sings with it is fantastic.
Yeah, this is definitely a great song. I think it catches a lot of shit, from the people who aren't big fans of the Hagar stuff. But I agree with you. It's a beautiful ballad. It's I think it's it's very like sappy Sammy lyrics, but I think it gets the point across. It's not, I don't think it crosses into like schlock to where you're kind of rolling your eyes. And I think Brian, you as a keyboard player, I think you can speak to the fact that it's just as a piano riff or passage, whatever you call it. Like, it is beautifully well done, I think.
Yeah, it was like right outside my top 10. It was tough to leave that one off.
Yeah, I think, again, this is one that kind of stands out on the Balance album, though I think it does kind of fall into that. It's a little brooding, you know what I mean? There is a little bit of melancholy to it. So I think as the like really ballady song on there, because I think you could, I mean, Can't Stop Loving You is rocking, but I would consider kind of like a rock ballad in a way. But like, I think Not Enough definitely fits as the ballad for Balance. I think it goes perfectly along with the vibe of the rest of the record, I think. So, alrighty. So Travis Snyder at number 9, he's got When It's Love. An awesome choice there. Love that song. Doug McCauley, good to see you, man. He says, Ain't Talking About DT. Van Halen, 1978. Tom Cullen says, Hey guys, good to see you, man. He says, unfortunately, I'll be catching up after. Giants football, even though it's preseason, is on in Jersey. Okay. Well, can't fault you for that. Okay, so Rob, should I just say Rob K from now? It's what's the pronunciation? Karukangas? Is that right?
Karukangas.
Okay.
You can just call him Canada Rob. That's what we call him.
Well, Canada Rob doesn't understand the rules of the game because his number 9 is Beautiful Girls. That is a Roth tune, Rob. We're doing only
well, not in Toronto, it's not.
Right. Aaron Taft at number 9. Good to see you, man. He says he's got Feeling. That's actually on my extras list, so that's an excellent one too.
Isn't it actually Feeling with a
apostrophe? Yes. Yes. All right. So Brian, what do you have at number 9 on your list?
Number 9, I have what I think may be an underrated, but I love the riff on this. Sucker in a 3-piece.
I've got that on my extras list too.
God, I love that. Like, it's kind of a simple riff, but it's so huge in the way he just kind of builds and builds and builds on it. And there's that kind of little breakdown part, and he's sort of staccatoing it a little bit and changing up the rhythm. And it's so now we get to OU812. My thoughts on this one, I think it is the best Sammy in terms of the vocals, the way that they're produced and the way they're mixed with the harmonies. I feel like the other 3 albums, you get that super duper harsh, shreddy Sammy, which I'm okay with, but I feel like this one, I don't know if they just layered a ton of chorus and delay and reverb and some compression in there, to kind of take some of that out, some of that massive bite that like just comes right out of his throat, like he's just coming out of the speaker at you,
Yeah.
And I love the way that the vocals are mixed, and I think the drums are mixed a lot better on this one too. Like I love almost all of Alex's drum work on this, but Sucker in a 3-piece, man, I could listen to that song over and over and over.
Yeah, I agree. That's, again, a song that a lot of people crap on, but personally, I think it just jams. It's like a straight ahead rocker. I mean, like you said, Brian, the riff is just great. It just jams. And I think, Steve, you were mentioning OU812 earlier. I kind of think that this record's underrated. I've always kind of thought that. I think that people kind of think of it in terms of Feels So Good and When It's Love and stuff like that, and they tend to overlook it. They think about Source of Infection, think, oh, that's cheesy, and
not that, but that's me pretty much.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, see, on OU812, the stuff that I like, I really like, but the stuff that I don't, I'm like, I won't even. They're just skippers for me.
Okay.
Sucker in 3 pieces is I like the, like I said, I like the fast VH, and that's one that's was probably like 15 or so.
Okay. All right. Our buddy Zauber96, good to see you as always, man. He says, good evening. Oh my God, I have to improvise a list. Number 9, Judgment Day. Yeah, we had that one in the chat, so that's a good selection.
Doug McCauley.
Yeah. Oh, I'm bringing that up. Don't worry. Rob from Canada, his new number 9 is Dreams. All right, he's back on track with us. Okay, that's good. Doug McCauley at number 9 has War Ensemble. Oh my God, our chat is the best. Our chat is the best. All right, so let's see here.
Wait a minute, let's change the topic. Top 10 Slayer songs we wish that Van Hagar had done. All right, go. War Ensemble.
Yeah, right. Chemical Warfare.
South of Heaven.
Angel of Death.
Season of the Abyss.
Right. Just pick all the early shit. Nothing from like Repentless and all that, which isn't even a word, by the way. All right, so my number 9, Mike's Musical Rehab, he has Humans Being from the Twister soundtrack. And ironically, that is exactly what I have at number 9. So
Get out of here. Really?
I do have it. Oh yeah, dude.
Oh.
Man, oh man. You don't like that song?
I have a love-hate with that song because it just feels like they could have done so much more with it. It's just so rushed. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, there's an awesome couple of guitar solos in it. It's got a catchy chorus. The
Like I
riff is
said,
cool.
I have love-hate with it, so I can't argue with anything you're saying.
Wow. I think you're an idiot. I'm just gonna go out on a limb.
Yeah, minus the think, right?
Yeah. Exactly. No, I've loved this song ever since the movie came out in '96. It kind of sucks now because you listen to it and you know it's the last that we got until those 3 kind of songs on Best of Both Worlds, the greatest hits record. But I mean, to me, this song just kind of has everything, and it really, to me, it's always a bummer because you think, okay, if this is kind of like a harbinger of what they would have been doing on a new record, I would have been all in. I think it's a great song. Like I say, Eddie's solo, that that constant build in that solo, and I like Eddie and Sammy battling in the verses on the vocal, and then you get that shine on in the chorus, and it's like it's got all the elements of a cool Van Halen song to me. And so I've always been a huge fan of this. And again, personal thing, my guitar players in the band I sing for, they love it. And so in soundcheck, they're always going into this riff. So I'm always sound checking with it. So it's just fun to sing, man. It's fun to jam to.
When you mention the chorus, I think that's what it slightly bothers me. It feels like a Sammy Hagar song, the way he does the chorus, and not a Van Halen song.
Okay, interesting.
I think that's what. Yeah, that's the part that just sort of gets at me a little bit.
Zauber 96 says, it's surprisingly difficult to think of 10 Van Hagar songs that I really love. Well, you go back and think about it, damn it. You come back when you have 10.
That's right. Not till then.
Yeah. Zauber is probably just not a big fan. So at least you're trying. That's a good thing. Oh, Chastity Crowley, good to see you, man. She says, been listening but not participating. I do exist though. We never doubt you, Chastity. We never doubt you. Aaron Taft says, I love the instrumental at the end credits of that movie. That is Respect the Wind that you are talking about.
Is that Van Halen or?
Yeah, it's Alex. It's actually Alex Van Halen on piano.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the only recorded instance of Alex on piano. So Eddie on guitar, Alex on piano.
Did not know that.
All right, before we get to Steve's number 8, I did forget to bring up one comment. This is from our amazing friend, Cale McLeish. He says, I'm leaving this comment 15 days early, knowing I will likely not be here for the episode itself. Lots of love, John and Brian. So shout out to Cale. Hopefully he is recovering nicely. He actually had surgery within the last couple days. So that is why he is not here. It's like, God, the first show he's missed in maybe the entire history of the show. So,
yeah,
man, Doug McCauley showing the love.
Recovery.
Definitely. Yeah, Kale's like our first listener ever, Steve, and he literally, I think this may be the first show he's ever missed. So Doug showing the love says, you're the best, Chaz. So there we go. All righty. So Steve, at number 8, what do you have on your list?
Number 8, I have Dreams. And I will say that it's purely probably because of the video. I've always been a huge fan of like military and aviation stuff. My uncle was a retired 3-star general in the Air Force, so I got to see Blue Angels when he was base commander up in New Hampshire. And then when that video came out, I was like, wow. I mean, any song could have been for with the Blue Angels, and I would pick it on a list. But it's so well done, and that's another one. Really the only song that's a video for besides Pound Cake that I can't hear the song without thinking of the video for Dreams, because it's just so well edited. It's like when it picks up, the planes pick up and everything like that, and it's a good song. I love the pace of it, the vocal cadence. It's just a good song.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that. I will get to that song a little bit later in my list. Spoiler alert, but yeah, I'm with you. Like, the video always comes to mind. I think this is really, to me, more so than Why Can't This Be Love. I kind of think this was the first taste we got of what the Van Hagar lineup would really bring to the table that would be different from the Roth era. You know what I mean? It was that first really kind of, I wouldn't say love-y kind of lyric or anything like that, but it was the whole inspirational kind of thing that Sammy brings to the table. And I mean, it was definitely a rocker, but it had something that you would see that's kind of a hallmark of the Van Hagar stuff that the Roth era never had. So I think this is the first taste we got of just how much Van Halen would change with Sammy in the band.
That's how I am with that song WAP by Cardi B. I can't think of the song without the video. So it's like I'm always just picturing the video. I still don't even know what that means. WAP, W-A-P.
Oh,
if anybody knows in the chat, just go ahead and let us know. But
I am not even doing this. Mike's Musical Rehab at number 8. I can't believe I forgot to put this on here. I'm putting this in my extras list because it damn near I can't believe I forgot this one. Amsterdam. That is a huge flub on my part. So that is a kick-ass, especially the live version from Toronto. That's just shredding. So Travis Snyder at number 8. He's got Feelin'. Johan Alexanderson, good to see you, man. His number 1 is Dreams, so that's good. That's a good choice. Johan. Wow. Zauber in 96, his number 8 is Inside. He says, I don't care what you think about that. Hey, what kind of crap is this? I don't know, man. I thought it was really going to be different this time than it is. Like, yeah, Zauber, look, that is a fun song. I don't care what anybody says. It's all digital. It's at the time, like, it was like prototypes of like some weird electric bass and some weird electric this, that, and like Eddie was just experimenting with all these weird new digital instruments, and that's what came out. So Aaron Taft has Humans Being at number 8. Rob from Canada at number 8 has Seventh Seal. That's a good choice. Doug McCauley, he's got very well played, Doug. He said in parentheses, a view from the top of the world. Nice. Oh my God. I do have to correct you, Rocket Man. He says WAP is an Italian. That is actually, I can tell you, as an Italian, it's W-O-P. And from what I've been led to believe, it stands for without papers. It is a slur from, when Italians came over on the boat.
Yep.
So there we go. All right. So Brian, what do you have at number 8?
Number 8, this one is going to shock you later. I have Aftershock.
Nice. Well played.
Yeah, Balance, a strange album for me. I think the highs are really high, and maybe kind of how Steve is with OE81 too. The lows to me are kind of low. Man, I wish there was more of these kind of songs where Michael Anthony just gets to do a killer bass line and really kind of drive and groove the song.
Yeah.
Just a really cool moving bass line in there. And this also has that groove that Alex could settle into, I love when he gets that, kind of that splashy hi-hat going, the way he uses cymbals and the way he just attacks, and there's those grooves that he lays down. I don't know. There's like, it doesn't sound like Dirty Movies, but I get flashbacks to just the way he's kind of moving around with his feet and what he's doing on the drum parts there, the little syncopation thing. And your whole body's moving, man. When there's for my ears, and I've told you this a million times, Van Halen is 92% built on Alex Van Halen and 8% Eddie, because if you don't have those drums doing what they're doing to what Eddie's doing and someone's just kind of playing whatever, it does not work. He is so foundational and such a huge thing, especially on all the earlier albums. I don't know so much about the later ones, but this brought me back to the old style. Some of the stuff he does in '84, and like I said, some of the stuff on Fair Warning, just phenomenal drummer. And I don't think he gets anywhere near the credit he should. And just the parts him and Michael Anthony are driving on this song. And of course the guitar riff is absolutely amazing. It just fits right on top of all that stuff. But I think a very underrated song, and I don't know if this is one, I'm sure they probably didn't bust this out at the concert, but if they did, that would have been killer.
No, this is not one that was in the set list. I mean, what do you think about that, Steve? I completely agree that Alex is wildly underrated. I mean, he's so overshadowed by Eddie, but I wouldn't say 92% to 8%. But
yeah, I threw out some dumb numbers there, but I'll say 50%.
Percentage is lower than that. But even like when you hear Alex, he's as instantly recognizable as his brother.
Yeah.
And I was thinking
completely
about
agree.
that, listening to these songs. I'm like, man, his just, and it's steady throughout the whole. I mean, it changes, but it's the same. I mean, you could always tell it's him playing. And Aftershock, that's kind of a forgotten one about for me. And I gotta go back and give that one another listen. I listened to it like once, like last week when I was going through my songs, and I'll have to get back to it. But as far as Alex's drums, absolutely, and I really wish that he would have in some way somehow participated in this tour, even if he just came up for like one song, one show. I mean, the tour's not over yet, but Sammy did say in an interview with Eddie Trunk that he wishes that Alex was a little more user friendly. So I really doubt you're going to see him out on this tour at all. But it would be cool to see him. Like I said, even if he just goes up and plays one song for one show, it would be great just to see him, But I really don't think we're going to get that opportunity to see him again.
No, I mean, I read an interview just this afternoon where he was saying that Sammy thinks that him be like Alex being completely just radio silent with him actually has to do with the contract for Alex's book that's coming out. He thinks that the book company said, don't talk to Roth, don't talk to Hagar, and that's why he's getting ghosted. So I
can honestly see that.
I hope that that's the case and not just Alex being like F off.
Right.
So,
we'll probably find out in the book.
I know. I can't wait to read that. I'm going to devour that. Like, I'm pre-ordering the book. I'm going to get the audio book. Like,
you got to do the audio book for sure.
Yeah. Love it. Love it, man.
I'm sure not talking to Roth wasn't that difficult. Oh, don't talk to Roth. Okay.
Yeah.
How the hell am I going to do that?
Yeah. Right. All right. So, Steve, you like fast Van Halen, you said. So I've got a fast Van Halen song for you as my number 8. I've got Pleasure Dome. Again, I think a criminally underrated song. It's like that, Eddie and Alex boogie that they said they were into way back around Van Halen 2. And that song just kind of goes, and to your guys' point about Alex Van Halen's drumming, again, here's a song that absolutely he just drives, he's got that awesome, just that rolling groove to it, and then Eddie just with some, going into these things like these crazy runs and these big chords. Like, it's just, I'm really surprised that more people who are aficionados of either Eddie or Alex don't talk about this song more. I mean, maybe the title, maybe some people aren't a fan of Sammy's lyrics and all that, but I think musically, this is one of the busiest, most interesting, and just absolutely driving Van Halen songs there is, regardless of era. So, for me, this is like quintessential heavy Van Halen, or, Steve, like you say, like fast Van Halen. And I love it. And all you got to do is hear it without vocals when they use it as like the intro to the drum solo on Live Right Here, Right Now. And I mean, just as a piece of music, it's just absolutely killer. So I've got Pleasure Dome at number 8. I love that song.
Good one. So I just missed mine too.
Yep. That's, like I said, I mean, if you're into the fast stuff, I would assume that this is up there for you. So
yeah, it was like 11, 12, just like right. Just missed the cut.
The honorable mention.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So Steve, what do you have at number 7?
Number 7, Runaround from Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, my first one on the list from that song. Another one, here I am saying the videos, but this is another one too with that, with the spinning on the video. Just a good song, solid, just pretty straightforward for them, I think, and great background vocals, and and as much as Alex is recognizable and Eddie's recognizable, so is Michael Anthony's background vocals. Yep. And just incredible. Just another fun song, and it was one that I always liked, that always resonated with me, and I'm glad that they've been playing it on this. I'm glad I got to see them play it live like one more time.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was, it was awesome to me when they played this one, Steve, is that I remember my first Van Halen show ever was on the Balance tour back in 1995 here in Cleveland. And I remember, it's called Gund Arena back then, but when they played this song, the whole arena doing with their arms like hit round, around, around. And I never saw that after that. And I always did it because I just thought it was so cool when I saw it the first time. But I never saw people doing that sort of thing. And at the show that I was at least, everybody was doing it. I was like, oh,
they were at ours too.
Yeah, I was like, this is so cool to see this again. Yeah, right. I mean, how can you not? It's like to me, it's like you can't air guitar the guitar solo to When It's Love without going and little head scratch from the video. Like you can't do that air guitar without the head scratch. So, that's a great choice, man. Like you said, the video with like them spinning on the turntable and stuff like that. Like it's just. I think again, the video kind of fits the vibe of the song. It's like it kind of moves, and it's just a great song, man. It's just a great song.
They kind of copied off of Wasp.
Yeah, they did. Good caller. So Zauberer 96 as his number 7 has 5150. Travis Snyder putting in a vote for Humans Being. Aaron Taft at number 7 has Best of Both Worlds. Mike's Musical Rehab has Love Walks In at number 7. He says, I went to my 7th grade dance and danced with a cute girl to that song. That's awesome. See, Mike, I'm one of those people that if I have like an emotional connection to something or like a memory like that, it always kind of sticks with me more. I'm a very emotional music listener like that. So I could see why that would get you there. So Rob from Canada has Feels So Good at number 7. That is a great song. Excellent choice. Doug McCauley has Black and Blue Balls. Nice. All right, Brian. So what do you have at number 7?
Number 7. I'm starting to rethink this one, but I guess I'm okay. It's in there. I have Can't Stop Loving You.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is one of those. Hey guys, let's just quickly write a hit here. Like, I don't know that a whole lot went into this song, but it's like it's just a massive pop, Van Hagar tune. I mean, it just, I don't know, and it's just something we can relate to. And the way Sammy delivers the vocal, I mean, yeah, you could think it's cheesy, but I don't know, it hits me in a way that just like, I don't know, he just really sells it, I think. And there's not a lot to this song, but I don't know, just a great little pop Van Hagar, I guess. This is kind of them at their ultimate radio friendly,
Yeah, I think for me, what stands out about that song is the fact that it really puts on display Eddie's songwriting, because you've got a guy that can write stuff like I just brought up, like Pleasure Dome, stuff like that, or the kooky stuff from the Roth era, like could this be magic, or things like that, and yet he can as busy and as wild as he can be on guitar, he can also just lay back and, like you said, Brian, just write a pop hit, and it stands up with the rest of the catalog. I mean, it's so melodic and just so catchy. And Sammy's always been great at playing off of Eddie's stuff, and I think this is a great example of that. And for them to be able to pull out a song like this again, especially when you're looking at other stuff like 5150 or Amsterdam or something like that, like it really stands out as just how diverse Eddie can really be. So what are your thoughts on this one?
Are they playing this one?
No, they did not.
No,
they're not playing this one. No,
huh.
I'm not a big fan of this one. It's okay for me, but it didn't like even come close to making my list. It's a good song. It is a good song, and it's the melodies in it are good and stuff, but it didn't come close to making my list. But it would have been cool. It would have been cool to see it, because it would have been one of the songs that I had never seen them play before. But I didn't miss it that they didn't play it.
Yeah, I was kind of I like this one a lot. There isn't a Van Hagar song that I don't like, so whatever they played, I'd have been happy with. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that I'm glad they played instead of this one. Because like I say, I like that they pulled out some B-side stuff you wouldn't expect them to do. So one of those B-sides actually is my number 7, and that is the opening track to 1995's Balance record. I am talking, of course, about The Seventh Seal. This is just you want to talk about just a driving, Steve, we talked about the fast Van Halen. I kind of like when they can just lock down into this like slow, majestic, powerful groove like this, it's just Sammy's voice is excellent on this one. It's kind of one of his it's a little bit more spiritual, I guess. Like he explained it the other day what it's about, and it's one of his. Well, I was reading a book or something like that, and I wrote a song about it, type of deals. But, it sounds so huge, and it's a perfect example of something that Eddie is so good at. Like he writes riffs all over the neck, and the best guitar players do that, where it's not just you're on the first 4 or 5 frets and you're just down at the bottom of the guitar is for riffing, and the top of the guitar is for soloing. It's you can write a riff anywhere, and he's doing these big 6-finger chords higher up on the neck in this one, and you really have to kind of almost listen to it to understand it, because it sounds so beefy even though the notes are higher up than they normally would be. So I've just always been a huge fan of this one. It was awesome that my first show that I saw Van Halen at, this was the opener. The lights went, the whole place went black, and then they opened with the chants, and to me it felt like it went on for 10 minutes. I'm like, go already, go. And then they kicked into it, and it was just awesome hearing this song live. It just always has kind of like a freight train feel to me, almost like kind of Pound Cake ish. It's got that similar groove. So yeah, I really like this one. So all right, so Steve, what do you have at number 6?
Number 6, 5150 from, not the song 5150, from 5150, Best of Both Worlds.
Nice. Okay.
I always liked that song, and I remember just every time, like when Live Without a Net came out, I think I had that rented for like 3 months straight, I think, from the video store that we had in town. And I watched the hell out of that. And then, they had the walking, in that, and I always think back to that, and just a fun song. And like the chorus is just so powerful in that. And the one part where they're going into the chorus and Alex does that, like the real fast snare roll on there. I just absolutely love that. That is like my favorite part of the song. And that always resonated with me, just thinking back to that Live Without a Net video, just watching the hell out of that. Cause I mean, especially since they did There's Only One Way to Rock on there. Cause if literally, if you go back to my high school yearbook and it has like, favorite this, favorite that, like that literally is in there as my favorite song. So I was like, when they played that, and they opened up the show that I believe on that video, and but like Best of Both Worlds was just absolutely fantastic on that, and I think that that just that one part where they're doing that choreographed stomp or whatever across the stage, I think that really cemented for me that these guys are having fun. They're a band, that they're not just having Sammy in the band just to bust Dave's balls or whatever. I'm still a Dave guy, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with liking both. And I think that song totally and that agree. Part of that song kind of cemented that for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I don't know if they did it at your show, but they did that, the Best of Both Worlds walk at our show, and the whole place just went bonkers. It was so cool to see that. It was really cool. One of my buddies before the show said, "I bet they're going to do that." I said, "There's no way. There's no way they're going to do that. That's they got to, Eddie's not here to do that with." But they did, and I thought it was awesome that they did it. So, yeah, I mean, this is quintessential Van Hagar. I think this is one of the defining songs of this album, especially for people who are not diehards, like someone like me. I think that this song is one of the ones that comes to mind. Sammy always plays it in his solo shows. They did it in the Circle, and just an awesome song. And as you said, Live Without a Net, I think cements it. It's Travis Snyder. He has it. His number 6 is Summer Nights, but he says also Live Without a Net is my favorite concert ever. Yeah, I mean that I did the same thing. Steve, but I wasn't old enough to rent stuff. And my dad wouldn't let me listen to rock music. So when my parents were going out on a date night and we had a babysitter, my mom would go up to the video store at the corner and rent it for me when my dad wasn't looking. So,
Yay,
because
Mom.
yeah, I know. And so the babysitter would come over, and she was fine. She's like, this is the easiest babysitting job ever, because she liked Van Halen. We would just watch Live Without a Net all the time. So it was awesome. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that. This is a fantastic song. So Brian, what do you have at number 6?
Favorite concert ever? What about Live at the Whiskey one night only? Vince Neil. I mean, come on, let's be careful here. All right, number 6. I think this was Steve's 10 or 9. Source of Infection.
Okay.
Yeah, he obviously picked up on the Hot for Teacher vibe there, and harmonies are so great. And the other thing about a lot of OU812 is there's a lot of the riffs are, instead of like picking in chords, it's just the riffs are with the hammer on itself, and that's just gold right there to me.
Yeah.
When the hammer-ons are a main part of the riff, and like Eddie's doing it, and it just like, I don't know, I could hear that song, over and over, just like Sucker in a 3-piece. I think, like you said, it's upbeat, and the harmonies are awesome on it. And I just think the production, again, overall on that album, I love the way everything sits in the mix.
Yeah, it's I like the mix on that record too. I love this song. I think, going back to the mix on 0812, I think this is the album that I think benefited the most from the remasters that they released recently, because it definitely needed, I mean, it definitely needed boost, some boost in the volume, and I think it gave it a little bit more nuts. Like the bass guitar is a little bit louder, and it was pretty muted, I thought, on the original mix. So I thought Don Landy did a really good job on this one. So yeah, great song there, man. Doug McCauley at number 6, he has Don't Tell Me, parentheses, What Mangini Can Do. Zauber 96 has Summer Nights. Mike's Musical Rehab has Finish What You Started. Let's see. Travis Snyder has Summer Nights, as we said. Aaron Taft.
Why did you skip that one? Was that on purpose?
I haven't. I just follow me here, man. This is why I'm the host.
All right, I'm following you.
So, Aaron Taft, he combined 316 and Top of the World. Very, very sly. I like that. The reason that I pulled Rob from Canada's comment down is because he and I are on the same page. His number 6 is my number 6. I have Right Now. He says it's another song defined by the video. Yes, 100%. Rob, I completely agree. For me, I know this is probably kind of a stock thing to have in my top 10, but it's just, Sammy has a couple of those lyrics that just have a lot of emotion to them, and they're thoughtful, and he's not really known for that. He catches a lot of shit for his lyrics, but I think this is one of the ones that he absolutely knocks it out of the park on. And again, as much as it might be a stock answer to put one of their biggest hits in my top 10, it's one of their biggest hits for a reason. I mean, it's just a fantastic song. The piano part is excellent, and it's got a good groove to it, and it's just catchy. And I always actually think of the live version where, it's Sammy and Eddie kind of, going off on their own, kind of jamming, the guitar just switches, and Sammy's kind of shrieking here and there. And it's just, the song has so much feeling to it. And I just think it's a great song, and I couldn't leave it out of my top 10. I go back to it all the time, and honestly, that's how I did all my list, I should say. I have ones that are for sure, songs that I knew would be in there, and then other ones I'm like, okay, if I'm going to listen to Van Halen outside of this, what am I going to listen to? And I had to, and this was right up there. So, what do you guys think of Right Now? Or are we giving away? Is it going to be a spoiler alert for you guys?
I'll hold off.
There we go.
No spoiler for me. It was, and I'm thinking when Brian asked me to be on the show, I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy, But like, I just looked at my playlist. There's like 26 songs on there that I narrowed it down from, and Right Now was absolutely one of them. I love the live version of it from Right Here, Right Now live, and I was glad. This was another one I was glad they played. I like the pace with the da, 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 like when the piano really gets going.
Yep.
I love the pace of that. And it's good. And like you said too, the video, like right now, this podcast is kicking ass. You know what I mean? We could each made a sign tonight, or right now sign for the show. But
Nice.
it's a good one though. I like it. It's one that it's never a skipper for me.
That's awesome. I mean, Brian, real quick, before we get to our top 5, each of us, as a keyboard player, like, talk a little bit about this piano part, because it's it says, like, right now Eddie's got his hands full in the video, and of course it's goofy, but I've been told this is actually pretty involved. It's kind of a workout. Like, have you done this one before, or?
I've toyed around with it. I don't know the whole song per se, but I mean, what's cool about it is it does the starts out in a minor key, and then the chorus is major, and then you end up back in minor again, which I think always makes songs like fatter and bigger. It's got that I've referred to it before when we were doing episodes of, like, it's kind of like that Exorcist Tubular Bells.
Yeah.
Whenever you get that little motif of like a minor thing and get some little broken arpeggiated things going like that, it always sounds cool. And then, like, the accents, the down, that's like almost like that. What is it, Alan Parsons? When they would do the Chicago Bulls, the down, 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 down,
Yeah.
down, down, the down. It's like the same sort of like basically like chord kind of structure. Also, like, Sabbath has a song E50 150, which is just like this little instrumental thing, and they sort of do almost that's kind of a similar progression behind it. But
Sure.
I think what's cool about it is you get that intro, and then you get that sort of jazzier fusion kind of thing. But then when the guitar comes, it's the bam, it gets that harmonic on the guitar. So you get 3 completely different musical palettes, but somehow you put those together, and it's like, and that's the genius of Eddie Van Halen. I don't know how the brain comes up with putting these together like that, and it just fits like a glove.
Totally agree, man. Real quick, before we get to our top 5, Rob from Canada says, right now, Steve is surprising the shit out of me. So that's good. And I do have a commercial of sorts. It's not really a commercial, but I do have an announcement, Brian, that you don't even know about. Especially, some of our regular viewers / listeners are tuned in.
There's a lot I don't know about, so that's not narrowing it down.
Well, we are going to be selecting an upcoming Saturday to do a live show, and we will be having on Mr. Paul Logue, who you guys may remember as James LaBrie's co-writer for his excellent solo record, A Beautiful Shade of Grey. And back when we did all that stuff, Paul said he wanted to come on and talk some Queensryche, and we said, well, we've done Operation Mindcrime, so let's do Empire. Paul said he wanted to do Empire. And I hit him up about a week and a half ago. We've been going back and forth trying to nail down a date. He's in. We just got to pick a Saturday. So coming up one of these weekends, we are going to have Paul Logue back on, and we're going to be doing a deep dive into Queensryche's Empire record. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. Paul's obviously an awesome guest and very, very knowledgeable. So that's going to be cool. So we'll keep you guys posted as to when that's going to be.
Well, speaking of Queensryche, I don't know if you know this, but our guest also has a Queensryche podcast.
Really?
He does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's called I Remember Now. We've been going for over almost 2 years, but we have very loose recording times and episodes because I do it with Ray Farrow from the Asylum podcast, and our schedules don't merge a lot, and we're actually recording again in a week this Sunday. We record. We always record on Sunday mornings, but and we've done Empire on the show as well. But fun podcast. Love Queensryche. Top 5 band for me.
Yes, Brian and I are huge Queensryche fans, so totally agree with you there. I got to check that out, man.
Check it out.
Check it out. Yeah. So Mike's Musical Rehab says, I like Queensryche, but didn't like in the Dream Theater book. They said they're kind of dicks to them. I think in the book, Mike, they were talking about, it was like Mike Stone trying to give John Petrucci guitar tips, and that's that was the basis of the part of the lyrics for As I Am on Train of Thought. And then obviously Mike Portnoy and Jeff Tate had that infamous kind of spat where Mike Portnoy went on, was it Eddie Trunk went on or something, called him Jeff Taint. Like, kind of bagged him that way, and they they repaired the bridge like years later, but yeah, I remember that. That was cool.
Oh, I thought he like ripped one of the buttons off his vest or something.
Stole his wine glass. That's what he did. All right, so top 5. Steve, what do you have at number 5?
Number 5. Now these are my top 5 Sammy Van Halen songs. Judgment Day from Unlawful Carnal Knowledge.
Nice.
And so happy when they did this live. This song just jams. It's just like you can't stop moving when it plays. Heavy Van Halen. Absolutely love it. It's just killer, that part, that da, 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 da. I just love that. And then you get that wow, and that solo just like takes off like the Concorde. It's just absolutely just killer track.
Yep. I think to your point about the solo, I always picture, it's like the perfect reaction, when Eddie on Live Right Here Right Now, the video, he's like kind of like running in place when he starts doing that. It's like, and that's kind of what you feel when you go into that, it's, I could not agree more. One of my favorite parts of the song is at the end, with the, and Sammy or Mikey doing that just
goes real high.
Man. Yeah. I was, that was the one of the songs that I was thrilled. It unfortunately got spoiled for me, but I was thrilled that they did it on the Best of All Worlds tour. And then at the end, they actually did that part. I was like, oh my God, this is so great. Like it's just so unbelievable. And like you said, it just goes, it's, and to watch Eddie do that, he's over the top of the guitar instead. Like I mean, to watch that is like, what, who comes up with a guitar part like that? Like it's, I can't play it the right way, so I'm just going to go over the top. And it just looks like he's slapping at it haphazardly, but it's like, oh my God, wow. So what do you think about this one, Brian?
That was one of those, it kind of outside my top 10, maybe top 15. I knew I was like 99% certain one of you guys were going to have that song. But yeah, I mean, I love the guitar stuff going on that one. I mean, there's some songs on there, I think, and I'm going to contradict myself now because I said he goes more outside the box on there, but there's a couple where it's a little bit safer. But on that one, man, I love all the little things he's doing, and I'm glad you guys got to see that live, because that would be for like me if I got to hear Aftershock or something,
Yeah. Oh, it was unbelievable. So Doug McCauley, he's bringing it tonight, man. His number 5 is It's About Take the Time. Now, Doug, I do have to ask if It's About Time is actually in your top 5 Van Hagar tunes. That'd be a hot take, I think. Zauber 96 at number 5 has Dreams. Travis Snyder at number 5 has Mine All Mine. That is an excellent selection.
We need to correct him on that's actually Mine's All Mines, but okay. What's next?
I was waiting for that one, man. Aaron Taft at number 5 has Seventh Seal. Rob from Canada at number 5 has Pound Cake. Mike's Musical Rehab with a big deep cut at number 5. Big Fat Money. That's one of those faster ones, like kind of like the shuffle, and that's a great selection, Mike. I don't have that on my list anywhere, but definitely a great selection. So, wow, Doug McCauley confirming he actually has It's About Time in his top 5 Van Hagar tunes. That's a hot take. I don't dislike it. I think it's a fun song. Unfortunately, I just think you can hear how messed up Eddie was. That's my only regret with those 3 tunes. I'm actually one of those that actually can defend Up for Breakfast. Terrible lyrically, but that's just a why can't this be love-ish type of song. So all right, Brian, what do you have at number 5?
Number 5, I've got All Fired Up. This is kind of my trilogy of what I like best about OU812, and I know they're not in that order on there, but Sucker in a 3-piece, Source of Infection, and All Fired Up, man. I think all 3 kind of had a similar vibe, and they all have that where the hammer-on kind of drives the riff, and they're all upbeat. And all the backing vocals are just killer on those. I mean, I would love to hear all 3 of those tunes. Did they play any of those, or probably not?
No,
not a single one. No, that sucks.
No.
I would have been annoyed if I didn't get any of them.
Well, if you look up the live at Tokyo show in 1989 on YouTube, they play this one.
Okay.
And it sounds awesome. So it definitely translates in a live environment. That's the one thing about a lot of the stuff on OU812. I've seen various versions of some stuff they only played like once or twice, but Man, I don't know about you, Steve, if you've seen any of that stuff, but the OU812 stuff,
No, I
people
haven't.
think it's people really think that it's like on the softer side, but I tell you what, when they play it live, it definitely slots right in there with, the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge stuff and the heavier end of the spectrum. Like it really kind of severely beefs up when they brought it to the live show.
Yeah, that's one that I think I would like to see live. It didn't hit my list at all, but and I'll tell you what, there's a lot of songs out there that throughout the years that I like studio version. I'm like, no, but then when you see them live, like it instantly changes for you. Iron Maiden, The Evil That Men Do. I hated that song, couldn't stand it. And then I saw him play it live, and like I'm all in on it. So I'll have to check that out though. Like I said, it didn't hit my list, but I'll have to check out a live version of it.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I would definitely recommend that. Doug McCauley, man, I was mentioning up for breakfast. He comments, down for dinner. Oh my God. He says, it's about time. It's all about the chorus. Yeah, I mean, Doug, I just think, I wonder what Sammy and Eddie could have done had he been sober at that time, because Sammy was still kind of at the peak of his powers, and it's just, man, talk about missed opportunity. Mikey just said it in an interview the other day, like it's just a missed opportunity with that 2004 tour. But that is the tour where I met Eddie Van Halen, and it was like just a life affirming experience for me. So on this one, for my number 5, I actually am on the exact same page as Travis Snyder again. He and I are kind of lockstepping a few of these. I also have Mine All Mine at number 5. This one is pretty much, you could take my comments about Right Now and just swap them out for Mine All Mine. I thought it was it's an interesting album opener, I think. And I wonder if it's not part of the reason why OU812 does get a bad rap among the 4 Sammy records, and the Dave fans that were they were okay with 5150 and then heard OU812 were like, well, fuck this, because when it comes in with like a keyboard thing, and I mean, it's got a cool double bass thing, it's mimicking the the percussive riff on the keys, but it's definitely not, it's not Panama, it's not Get Up, it's not 5150, it's not, Summer Nights. So I wonder if opening the record with Mine All Mine was not a reason why a lot of people might have tuned out officially on Van Hagar with this one. That was you?
Yeah, although I can't really think of a song that I would have rather the album open with, but
yeah,
I mean, I like the song. I think it's good, but I don't think it's a good album opener at all. And because I don't know if you want to put that, like, for more of a Roth guy like myself, I think it sent out a bad message for us guys that were kind of teetering between Sammy and Dave stuff. And then like the album opens up with this. I mean, you got like Running with the Devil, you got Mean Street, you got and even in the Cradle Will Rock with the with the heavy organ, but then like this is, I was like, what are we doing here? And when the song's over, I'm like, okay, that it's a good song, but just I think the placement of it just like kind of killed it for me, anyways. And I think you had a good point about that, how that worked like that. Because that was my pretty much my train of thought on that.
Yeah, and good reference on a Dream Theater show. Train of thought, I like it. Yeah. But no, and I think what else kind of plays into that, Steve, is that When It's Love is track 2. So for the people that did get through Mine All Mine and they're like, I don't know about this, then When It's Love comes in and they're like, fuck this, I'm out. I mean, you back to back. I mean, looking back now, I think it's a good album opener, but that's hindsight. I've always thought that a better way to open the record would have been with All Fired Up, because the whole record was started with and Eddie just playing some guitar, and then it grooves, it moves. And to your point, Steve, every other Van Halen record opens up with a banger. And so I just think maybe I wonder what the perception of OU812 would have been, at least in terms of immediacy, had they done that. Maybe swap out Mine All Mine or something. it's interesting, because I think they could have spaced them out better, because you've got Mine Oh Mine, When It's Love, and Feels So Good. And I think if you space those out a little more evenly, instead of just opening with two of them, it'd be interesting to see how that would have landed. So
I would have started with the Apolitical Blues. I think that would have been a better one to open.
the little feet cover.
Sequencing means a lot, especially back then when it was like you have the album, you have the cassette, or you have the CD.
Yeah.
You don't have the the digital to, okay, that's just hit the button and the next song comes on. You're either fast forwarding it, hitting the button on your CD player, or whatever, or lifting the needle even. But you didn't have that luxury, if you want to call it, that we have now. And I think a lot of people like now just like kind of breeze through stuff and maybe don't think of it that way. But back then that's all we had. And that's once you hear that, that's the first song forever on that album. You know what I mean? It's like it's there.
It's definitely it's not a good representation of what's to come. I definitely feel that. Like, I mean, because the best stuff is kind of buried there towards the end. Like you said, you got to get through those first three, and it's like, well, John and I might like those and appreciate them. Okay, we're taking 6 songs to get to the other stuff. It's like, I mean, I guess I never really thought about those 3 opening up. That is a little bit.
Raymond Bosick, good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully I didn't butcher your last name. He says, I'm sure Eddie Van Halen had last say on where the songs were placed. Yeah, that's a good question. How the sequencing was determined. I want to say that I think Ted Templeman, no, he didn't work on that one. It was Eddie and Don Landy. So yeah, I was thinking back to the Raw stuff when Templeman had a lot to say about the sequencing. No, I think you're right with that. He probably did. That's a good take there, I think. Aaron Taft says, I remember playing Super Mario Brothers while listening to Mine Oh Mine as a kid. I did the same thing. I don't know if it's Super Mario Brothers, but it's definitely Nintendo, because I was 12. So I was definitely playing, old school Nintendo there. All right. So, Steve, what do you have as your number 4?
Number 4, Summer Nights from 5150.
Great choice.
Always a song that, like, and it's weird because, like, play it in January, it doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? You throw it on the I'd be sitting on the porch and then would come up in a shuffle play or something like that. Like, perfect song for it. Just like, and that, even if you listen to it now, for guys like us that are older, Summer Nights in my radio, I mean, say you went, parking with your girlfriend or something like that. You were, probably listen to the radio because you don't want to stop whatever you're doing to flip the cassette over or change CDs. So a lot of times you're just listening to the radio, and it takes me back for that. And I remember this album came out the year that I graduated high school, and it had a big impact on me too. When it was like right around when I graduated high school. And Eat 'Em and Smile didn't come out until July of that year. So we had this for a couple months before that, and it made a big impact, and it just still a fantastic song. And I'm just so glad that they did that song, another song that I was like, would have kind of been disappointed if they didn't do, especially touring during the summer. I mean, it's a no-brainer, So great vibe to the song, and like I said, it just doesn't have that feel if you throw it on in January. But just a great song.
Yeah, I think this is one of those ones where I said, like, Best of Both Worlds is kind of like a quintessential song, kind of like defining Van Hagar song for people who maybe are not as diehard as we are. But I think Summer Nights is the opposite of that. I think for us diehards, it's kind of the defining song, because you've got that absolutely just ungodly version of Summer Nights from Live Without a Net, where Eddie does that ridiculous solo. And that's what always stands out to me, is that version of this song. And, he's blowing smoke rings while he's, Sammy's singing and laughing at him and stuff. And, you're right. They had to play this on the Best of All Worlds tour. That was one of those ones, I'm sure, when they're going through the set list, Sammy's going, well, you can't not play Summer Nights. You absolutely have to put that in the show. So that was, definitely an awesome song for me to see as well. I have that actually in my my honorable mention list, so that almost made my top 10. That's in there. Brian, what do you think about Summer Nights?
I totally agree. Actually, the whole album 5150 has the summer feel to me because I think it came
Yes.
out in like late April, May of '86. Was it somewhere around there? It
Yeah.
was at least towards the end of spring. And I have a pool, and it's like every year when I open up the pool, it's like 5150 goes on. I have like this Bryan Adams mix I made, like Reckless. That's always like that's always like a huge summer album to me because I just think back of when I was, kind of a teenager in high school, and I listened to those. Another one is Hysteria, kind of came
Yep.
out same time, a couple years later. But yeah, I mean, Summer Nights, man. I mean, it's just again kind of one of those. You hear the riff and you're like, if someone was just played that riff, you'd be like, well, that's anybody can play that, but just I don't know the way Eddie plays it, and then does the hammer-ons, and then the adds all the little things into
Yep.
it, and and everybody's singing along. Like you feel like you're at the beach just partying down with all those guys. That's just
Yeah.
that's a hard vibe to like. You might think that's something easy to pull off, but it's really difficult to pull off a vibe like that, to
Yep.
have something that literally sticks with, like Steve and I are older, sticks with us here borderline 40 years later.
Yep.
Like we have that memory that's just ingrained in us, and that stuff's just like never going to go away.
Yeah. And I think one of the coolest things about it is I think this song kind of encapsulates a feeling that 5150 had, which, and Steve, I mean, you can speak to this. You said earlier you prefer the raw stuff, but I think one of the best things that they did on 5150 was kind of let people know that without David Lee Roth, that didn't mean that the fun had left Van Halen. And I think Summer Nights completely encapsulates that. I think it's just it's upbeat. It's got that Roth kind of feel to it. It's a simple party rock kind of lyric, like people came to expect from Van Halen. It's what they show up for. So I think this is a great representation of what 5150 was, and kind of like a reassuring thing to the Roth fans saying, hey, we're still here. We're still Van Halen. We're not going all Van Halen 3 on you just yet. So
I agree with that. Absolutely.
So Travis Snyder, as his number 4, has Why Can't This Be Love? Doug McCauley has Humans Being, says I couldn't get a Dream Theater pun in there. Rob from Canada also has Why Can't This Be Love? Aaron Taft, he has Dreams. Mike's Musical Rehab has Black and Blue. Excellent choice there, my friend. All right. Look at Doug. He says, where is Brian? It sounds like he's flying a plane. He is at his father-in-law's house. He has no power at his place. We had some really shitty weather hit here a couple days ago, Doug, in Northeast Ohio, and we had a couple tornadoes and tornado-esque weather. And Brian's in one of the areas that was affected. He's not going to have power for a few days, so he actually went all over hell and gone trying to find a place to podcast. So props to him.
We are approaching 5150 here. It's about 32 degrees on the ground, and
oh my God! See, I hope the volume leveler that I run the audio through for the audio version of the show doesn't pick that up as the hot point, because the rest of the show is going to be like this. So, all right. So, Brian, what do you have at number 4?
Number 4, I have Right Now.
Okay, good choice.
I don't know what to say about it because you already wanted me to explain about the piano and stuff.
Yeah, might have some overlap coming up.
Yeah, I mean, just a great. It is really difficult to blend the piano and guitar, and I don't know that people really kind of understand that at times. Like,
yeah,
because they're hitting a lot of times they're hitting the same frequencies sonically, and they're bashing against each other. But kind of like we said, the way this is sort of broken down is, piano leads off, doing its intricate riffing, and then we get the sort of the jazzier parts, but then the guitar comes in behind it, so they're not pushing against each other like that. And yeah, great song, man. Like you said, great lyrically. I mean, it's not exactly a Big Fat Money lyrically, but it is very, very intense.
Nice. Oh, poor Steve. He's like, what the hell are these guys talking about? Like, I didn't know I was coming on a show with two idiots.
Hey, you just thought there was
You
one
guys are
idiot.
good.
All right. So, my number 4, Steve already touched on. So again, we're overlapping now, so we won't get too deep into this, but I have Judgment Day as my number 4. So my top 3 are absolutely ingrained. And at number 4, I was like, this is if I have a fourth one that's ingrained, it's definitely Judgment Day. I always come back to this one. Again, the live version sticks out in my head. I remember when I first got For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, I had heard Pound Cake, I'd seen the video, and then the album came out. I ran out to buy it, and so opens with Pound Cake. I'm like, cool. And then going into track 2, Judgment Day, I was like, okay, if that's what I'm getting on this album, then this is going to fucking rip. Like, oh my God. And sure enough, it does. I mean, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge is just a guitar fest, and every song is great. And but Judgment Day, I think, it just absolutely stands out as one of those songs that, for me, I'm kind of surprised it doesn't get more love, because it is, it's got that groove, it's got that guitar solo, and the screaming Michael Anthony harmonies, and it's just a great example of how Van Halen could be more musical with Sammy than they were with Dave, but still bring the balls, bring the hard rock. So I will always love this song for that reason. So that is my number 4. All right, here we go. Let's get into our top 3. We need a drum roll. Steve, what do you have? Nice. What do you have as your number 3?
I'm gonna, and I was this close to bringing it. I was gonna bring the drill with me. So we got a little Pound Cake going here for number 3 for me for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge.
Yep,
great song. Just I love when you get that, and you get that kind of dun it, boom.
Yep.
Just you get that little hesitation in there with just the start guitar playing. Just a fun song, and when this came out, I was like, especially on the after OU 812, I was like, all right, this is like what I like. This is like heavy Van Halen, and like you just said, you get Pound Cake and then Judgment Day right after that. Just a great 1-2 punch to open up an album. And I always like this one. It was cool to see Satch get the drill out and do the thing at the show. So always a highlight for me. I always enjoy this one.
Yeah, I totally agree. We were talking earlier about songs where it kind of is defined by the video, and for me, I think this is one of those. As a 15-year-old kid, you get all these, all the hot women in the video, and I'm going, oh my God, this is like perfect for me. It's my favorite band and a bunch of hot chicks. Like, it was, and in a way, it was kind of cool because, like, the videos that we had for the OU 812 album were When It's Love, Feels So Good, and Finish What You Started. And so you're kind of like, okay, well, that's definitely not David Lee Roth era stuff. We're not getting, Hot for Teacher and all that. So, okay, I'm like, all right, they were okay videos, but nothing special. But I think the video for Pound Cake, you get all of them just wearing shades on that big old sound stage. You've got, like I said, the hot chicks in there, and it's like, okay, this is kind of what you think of when you think of Van Halen. It's almost, again, like with the album itself, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, I think it was a return to form in a way. And so that video just kind of set the tone for, we're getting back to what you know us for. And, so for me, it's the video and the song always go hand in hand. And I'll never forget the feeling of just sitting there watching MTV, hoping for a good video to come on and not shitty Prince or Madonna or that crap that I hated. And all of a sudden that little girl comes on the screen like, what? Our little girls made him like, yes, Cake. Yeah.
Here we go.
Yep.
Yeah. And really, how many shitty videos did you sit through for years?
Yes.
Waiting for something good to come on. I mean,
Right.
like, God, when it first came on, we sat through like 3 hours worth of shit just to see like another thing coming from Judas Priest or, Round and Round or something, you're like, come on, like, play one, so you'd get like one every 2 hours or something like that. And
Yep.
and that's a perfect example of what you wanted, but that you weren't getting often enough.
I was
I'm like
firmly convinced as a kid that like Tears for Fears and bands like that their videos were like 15 minutes long.
It seemed like it.
I kept flipping back and forth, and I'm like, God damn it, when is this going to be over? How long is this song? And then I end up on a Dream Theater podcast talking about 15-minute songs.
I'm like a huge fan. Anytime you can combine carpentry with a great riff, and that's what they did on this song. Like I immediately wanted to go out and just start like making shit, you know.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm gonna go make a table while I'm like playing an awesome solo at the same time too, you know. It's like,
Oh my God, I thought you were gonna be like, yeah, you know, Eddie tried to use a bandsaw on it for the first time, but it didn't work so well. So end up cutting the guitar in half.
no,
you have to wait till later, more years till you get the chainsaw with Jackal.
That's
exactly. Right. Yes. All right, Brian. So, what do you think about Pound Cake here?
Yeah, Pound Cake. Another one of those. The first time you hear it, like I love it, but then lyrically, you're always kind of like, oh man, you cringe just a little bit. I love my baby, but you know, it just grows on you because the damn rip is so good, and it's like such a big hook. I took a few points away because they kind of already did that on the Good Enough with the the cooking and the food and whatever and all that. But it's like that intro with the drill and stuff and the way that the descending riff of that is so killer. It's like you knew the first time you heard that. I'm like, okay, they're never like gonna not play this song. Like if Sammy's in the band, I think they're gonna play it every time, right?
Yeah, totally. Mike's Musical Rehab at number 3 has Runaround. Doug Macaulay has parentheses wet dreams. Zauber in 96 with a great selection, something no one ever brings up except for really musicians. Number 3, he's got Belugatherium. Bonus points to anyone who actually knows what a Belugatherium is. Aaron Taft at number 3 has Sucker in a 3-piece. Robin Canada at number 3 has Black and Blue. Travis Snyder at number 3 has 5150. The answer to the trivia question, what is a Belugatherium? It's one of the largest dinosaurs ever recorded. So there you go. So there's a little Van Halen trivia for you there. Brian, what do you have at number 3?
This is another lyrical gem. I've got Doing Time. I don't have any idea what the lyrics are regarding this one. I can't understand a thing he's saying.
You're such an ass.
No, I think it was both of you guys already had the Seventh Seal.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And
Top 3. Nice.
I don't know who said power, but this is like borderline power metal. Like that riff, like I've got 3 songs, and see if you agree with me, that I think are almost metal for Van Halen. One of them's Atomic Punk and Mean Street.
Yeah.
And this one, like, I don't know, there's just something that screams like, I would never say Van Halen's a metal band, but like the way that the riff is on this, what starts out and stuff, and kind of those little harmonic things and things he's bouncing around on, like,
yeah,
very, very metal-ish, and great song. My one thing about it is I think it's so damn good that like the rest of Balance, there's stuff I like here and there, but it sets the bar so high that I don't think anything else really gets all that close to it. I don't know, man, because you kind of get to the rest of the songs, you're like, oh man, these are good, these are okay, but man, it just, I don't know, it just sets such a massively high bar that it's hard to match the rest of it. And I think I'm not saying they blew their whole load on this song, because there is some decent stuff on Balance, but to me, this one just stands out so much more than anything else on the album.
I could say, I mean, I would put Amsterdam up there. I really like Feeling. Obviously, I've got Deja Vu in my top 10, but yeah, it definitely sets a precedent. And you know, it's kind of one of the things that's always been interesting to me about this one is when you see people doing guitar covers of it, they just go dan, dan, they hit the chord like that. But when you listen to what Eddie's actually, it's he's like doing this really quick, like, you know, type of thing. Yeah. And it's one of those little things that you got to listen for, but it just kind of, it adds that extra little bit of resonance to it. So, you know, I've always thought that's kind of cool in terms of the instrumentation of it. So my number 3, I think I've got a new Van Halen buddy in the house here, and with Travis Snyder, because this is the 3rd song that we've got in common so far tonight, and I've got 5150 as my number 3. that song to me just has an unbelievably kick-ass riff. I love the breakdown in the verse, like, you know, it's got that kind of triplet thing going on. An awesome guitar solo. The chorus is super catchy. It's just it's such an awesome way to close the record. I mean, I know Inside's the closing track, but that's kind of like a goof around, kind of like a fun thing. I think it's just an awesome way to close the 5150 album. You know, Eddie Van Halen, just to me, like, is the guitar player, always has been, always will be. And I think this is one of those songs that really displays just how good he really, really is. You know, he's playing chords that are just a bitch and doing things that other people just don't do. And the song just, man, it just goes and just does not stop. It's got all kinds of different flavors to it in terms of the rhythm, but it's got that huge chorus. And again, I just, you know, at the end, you know, and yeah, I just love this song. I think it's just, you know,
what is this song about? And I'm not like making a joke here. What do you feel this is about? I've always kind of been confused on this one.
I'm bad with lyrics because I don't really listen to them a lot. I'm much more of an instrumentation type of guy. Like, I listen to the music, but I think it's basically like a song about someone being selfish, really. You know, I mean, the chorus pretty much says it. You know, always one more. You know, it's never one for you; it's only one for me. Like,
right,
stuff like that. So I just think it's about, you know, being in a relationship with somebody that's just like, you know,
Selfish
I'll take
bitch.
it. Yeah, exactly. I'll take and no give.
Yeah.
I'll take and no give, man. So yeah, but yeah, this song just, you know, again, when I wrote up my top 3, this was just, you know, my top 2 are cemented because they're my top 2 favorite songs of anything, period. So those were obvious. But then if I'm going off of my top 2, I'm like, okay, what's the next Van Halen song I'm listening to? Especially if it's Sammy Hagar, it's definitely going to be 5150. I do have a Roth song that would be up here, probably just underneath it at number 4 if I was putting a Roth song in there. But I'll save that if we ever do a, you know, top 10 Roth songs episode, which I think we should probably do at this point. But
I'll be in on that if you want me.
I do. Well, let's do it. Let's do it. All right. There we go, Brian. We got another episode lined up. We're going to do top 10 David Lee Roth songs. We're going to have Steve back on.
Yeah, I don't want to have 2 people pulling from a different kind of truth, though. That's not allowed.
Bullshit, man. Bullshit. Get used to it,
Fair
because
game,
I might.
Fair game.
Yes, I might have a song off of that record on my top 10 list. The little teaser there.
Sometimes you're the dog, sometimes you're the podcast.
Well played, man. Brian Hendrickson. All right, so top 2, Steve. What do you have at number 2?
Number 2, In and Out from Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Absolutely, this is one song that I instantly fell in love with. I love the background vocals in it. I think it's just a rocking song, and it was cool when they did it on Right Here, Right Now live, and just a song that I always just the chorus is just that woo, and I love when Sammy does those woos in there.
Yeah,
it's just killer track. It's always, if I do a playlist of Van Halen or Sammy, or just like even general songs, just like rockin' shit, this song always makes the list. Always makes it.
So I love all the Van Hagar stuff, but I have to be honest, this would be down near the bottom of my list.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I really like it. I think it just gets buried because of how much I really enjoy so much of the other stuff. And, you know, I'm trying to think the track listing, but, you know, I know that, you know, this one comes right off the back of Pleasure Dome. You know, Pleasure Dome, you know, I was a cassette guy back in the day because I was a kid and I didn't have a CD player yet. And I know, like, side 1 ends with Pleasure Dome. So it starts out, you know, side 2 with In and Out. And I think I was just still so enamored with Pleasure Dome that maybe that's what does it. But, yeah, still a great song though, and you're right. The live version, it always kind of cracks me up because I've never counted, but for some reason it feels like they do it like that last chorus, like an extra time. Like for some reason I always kind of feel like they did it again. And if you listen closely to it, it kind of sounds like Sam's like like, oh, I'm supposed to sing here again. Like, it's weird, but so I'll have to count that at some point. But Yeah, definitely a great song, and I agree with you though. It does have a kick-ass groove to it. It's Sammy bitching about money again, and all that kind of stuff, and it's
Yeah, and when you initially see the title, you're thinking it's about getting laid.
yeah, exactly, like Black and
and then
Blue,
when
in
you
and
listen to
out.
it,
Like,
it's not about that at all.
yeah, completely agree,
Well,
man.
it could be about getting fucked, but not not romantically.
Exactly.
I thought it was about the burger place, but I guess I.
All right, I'll give you that one.
So,
So,
I
what do you
like
think about this one, man?
I like the first part at the end when it gets to the out. I'm not as big on that part of it, but no, it's interesting. You talked about this, and I did want to double check this. So it goes in and out into Man on a Mission, and In and Out is a very bluesy kind of feel, and Man on a
Yeah.
Mission, who no one has picked that song, which I think is actually a decent song, but Man on a Mission is basically like it's almost like a Satch Boogie kind of a thing. I would never say that Eddie Van Halen ripped somebody else off, but there's a very Joe Satriani Satch Boogie feel to that riff. But they kind of go back to back with those bluesy type of things, and In and Out's a cool song for sure.
All right, so in the chat, Mike's Musical Rehab at number 2 has "Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do." It's dark but amazing. Doug McCauley has 2112. I mean 5150. Rob from Canada has Humans Being at number 2. So there you go. More love for Humans Being, Brian. Up yours. Travis Snyder at number 2 has Right Now. Aaron Taft at number 2, an excellent selection, When It's Love. And Zauber in 96 with another great selection, another one of my top 10, Pleasure Dome. Brian, what do you have at number 2?
I cheated on this one. There's no way I could. To me, these songs always go together, and I don't know why. I got 5150, 2A, and Best of Both Worlds, 2B. I
Nothing
can't
wrong with that.
I know there's something about those two. I need them together, and like I don't know, man. And the funny thing is, like, Best of Both Worlds, it's another one of those. If you saw someone just sort of sitting around, just kind of playing that riff, Aaron, you'd be like, that's kind of cool. But I don't think it would do a whole lot for you. And then just the way that they just constantly build on it and build on it and build on it, and like the vocal melody on top of it. And you talked about 5150. I mean, that's just a clinic, and I don't know what he was doing coming up with that song and those chords and those riffs. I mean, that's just otherworldly kind of stuff, especially 5150. But yeah, those two songs, I always got to hear them, and it's like there was no way for me to like those both had to be in there, and I didn't want to kick anything else out, so I put them both at number 2.
Yep. Well, hey, it's your list, man. If you want to have a 2A, 2B, you go right ahead.
It's my list, so that's what I did.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it earlier. Excellent song, especially the version on Live Without a Net. Which for those of you who have not seen it, there is more to it than the MTV music video version that's on YouTube. They get into this big jam, and they get that person's shoes, and they spray paint one orange and they spray paint one red, and Sammy's like, yeah, you wear these home, they're gonna know you were at a Van Halen concert, and doing that whole thing, which was funny. And it's a banger, dude. It's a total banger. So can't fault you there, man, for sure. My number 2 is actually it has my favorite song lyric. I was hoping to meet Sammy Hagar at the show I saw a week ago, and unfortunately I did not get to, because the green room tickets I bought were a complete and total ripoff, and they sure don't warn you about that when you spend $300 on a pair of those. But my favorite lyric is, and in the end, on dreams we will depend, because that's what love is made of, and that of course is from Dreams, from 5150. I have always just absolutely loved this song. It's my second favorite song, period. I love just the groove to it. It's that upbeat kind of driving kind of groove to it. The guitar solo in it is great. There's the key part is catchy. Sammy is just like, you want to reach for the golden ring, reach for it makes you want to do that. It kind of gets you amped up, and it's got that vibe of you're inspired and you want to just go out and tackle the world and stuff like that. And from the first time I heard the song, I just totally loved it. I'm a very unique Van Halen fan in that I discovered them with 1984 when I was 8 years old. And then, 5150 came out. So I was not indoctrinated fully into the David Lee Roth stuff. I had known, pretty much I had known one record. So I'm right in that middle part. So to me, it was all Van Halen. I was like, oh, the singer sounds different. What the heck? But to me, it didn't matter because it was all about Eddie Van Halen to me, and it still is. And, this to me was always a song I was like, wow, there's more than guitar. Like, holy shit. And something about the song has just always resonated to me. And my favorite version of it is the version from the Toronto show, which was supposed to be a live record, but it never came to fruition. They did it as a pay-per-view, actually. And Mikey just, Sammy does like, hi, and Mikey's like, hi. And just the way that they play off each other on that, just it makes it even more upbeat and positive. And so just love Dreams, man. So that is my number 2. So we have gone through our 10 through 2, and we have now reached all of our number 1. So Steve, as our esteemed guest host, what is your favorite all-time Van Hagar tune?
Number 1 with a bullet by a country mile, Black and Blue.
Wow. Okay.
First time I ever heard that song, I was like, holy shit, this is a top 5 Van Halen song overall. It's one of my favorite songs of all times. It just hit me. I love it. It's just fucking excellent. The background vocals, the innuendo of it, the innuendo and the straightforwardness of it too.
Yeah,
is just great. And Michael Anthony just crushes the background vocals on there, and the riff for it is just absolutely killer. I was blown away when I heard this. If they opened up OU812 with this song, I would have been knocked right off my feet. But
yeah.
We got Mine on Mine, but that's okay. But like, and I did stick with the album when I listened to it. That notwithstanding, but like when this came on, I was like, holy shit, like this song like friggin' kicks ass. And especially through some of the stuff that I sat through, like Cabo Wabo. I hate that. I fucking hate that song.
Really? That's in my honorable mention list. Okay.
Yeah, feels so good. I was like, I'm like, what's going on here? And then when like Black and Blue came on, I was like, this is what I want to hear from these guys.
We're back on track. Yep.
Yeah. If they played this on this tour, I would have lost my shit.
Yeah.
Like hands down. But, alas, they did not. But it still just that's my jam for Van Halen with Sammy.
Are you kind of surprised that they didn't play Black and Blue on this tour? I thought that this was.
I kind of was. I thought they might bust it out.
That's what I thought too. Because as much as it was the first single from the record, I think it gets kind of lost on the album sometimes. But
it's deep.
Yeah, but I thought it was one they would definitely pull out though, and I was kind of surprised they didn't. Yeah,
yeah. And you know what? If they pull it out now, I won't even be mad because I'll be glad that at least someone got to see it, and I'm sure there'll be video of it too. So
I was gonna say in the age of YouTube, you'll get to see it live somehow. Like, yeah, but no, I'm with you. This is an awesome song. It's, again, I think it's another one of those songs, like I mentioned earlier with Can't Stop Loving You, that it's kind of a testament to Eddie's ability to write something a little simpler. I mean, I'm not a good guitar player, but I can actually play about half of this song on guitar, which is a testament to just how much he can write something that is, easy to digest, I would say,
sometimes
but still
simple is best.
Exactly. And it's so effective. And, people might like bag on the lyrics and stuff, but it's, that's what Sammy does. Yeah. And it's a simple driving riff. It's a great rhythm. It's it's kind of percussive, when bam, bam, and so it's got kind of that swingish kind of feel to it, and yeah, awesome choice, man. I could not agree with you more. This is a great song. What do you think about this one, Brian?
I always thought it was about that band that did "Hold On to 18." So it's, I guess
Christ
lyrically,
sakes,
it's
here we
more
go.
like any
There we
song
go.
about Jamie St. James is good.
That's black and blue, not black and blue.
Yeah, that's true.
We're getting so
that's
technical
actually,
here on Talking Into Infinity.
yeah, wasn't this? This was the first single off of this, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember again. I'm like, oh boy, lyrically, here we go again with Sammy.
Yeah.
Like kind of rough, but this one grew on me. I mean, I wouldn't. I'm a little bit opposite of Steve on this one. I wouldn't definitely put this in my top 10. But the guitar stuff on it is so good. But lyrically, a little bit, yeah, a little cringy, And I'm not one of those people that's woke or politically correct or anything. But some of this stuff now, looking back, you're like, yeah, boy,
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sammy,
it is what it is,
Sammy specifically says in his autobiography that his comment about OU812 was lyrically not my best stuff, and this is one of the ones he kind of mentions as being a little kitschy, and that notwithstanding, I think it's a great song, man. I mean, it's a driving, just grooving, kick-ass Van Halen song.
Yeah,
I think
this is
that. Go ahead, Steve.
This is what I go to Van Halen for the fun stuff,
Yeah.
The ballads are all well and good. Like I said, like not enough made my list, but like this is what I go for. And should we do a Dave top 10, it's going to be like fun shit, like not, I mean, most of that is fun shit anyways, but
yeah,
that's what I go to Van Halen for. Cause automatically, since day one, reading about them in Hit Prater, reading about them, Circus Magazine, and the think of the videos we got to see from Van Halen from 1981 from the Fair Warning tour. You got So This Is Love, Hear About It Later, and
Unchained,
and like it was like, man, that was like fun. Like look at this. These guys are great. The gong lit up and everything. So. And you think party and you think fun when you think Van Halen, and that's what this song gave to me.
Yep. Totally agree with that, man. Totally agree. In the chat, we have, let's see, Mike's Musical Rehab at number 1 has Seventh Seal. Hard to argue there. Travis Snyder, number 1 is Dreams for him. So we're off by 1 on that one, Trav. We're off by that one. Aaron Taft at number 1 has Summer Nights. Doug McCauley at number 1. Why can't this be DT? Rob from Canada at number 1 has Judgment Day. And Zauber 96 has Source of Infection at number 1. That's wow. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Brian, what do you have as your top all-time, I was about to say Sammy Hagar, top all-time Van Hagar tune?
I think I'm the same as Travis Snyder. And you're number 2. I've got Dreams.
There we go.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking on Steve's like the Blue Angels video. I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, I didn't have any friends in the Air Force or anything, or relatives or whatever, but you just almost got chills just watching that. And it's something about that intro with it. You got the acoustic guitar, it sounds like playing behind that keyboard. And it just, I don't know, just such an uplifting. It brings a smile to your face. It's just a happy song. I mean. I go running once in a while, not as much as I used to, but I mean, that's a great song to go out running to, I mean, it's a great song to just go pump iron, or if you got something you got to accomplish, you just put that song in the background and it really motivates you. And there's a great message to it, man. It's just, kind of just don't give up. And like you said, you reach for the golden ring and you reach for this guy. I don't know which guy it is, but no, I mean, joking aside, I think it's Sammy's best vocal ever, and I remember him talking about. I think he kind of was writing it when he was in the shower or something, and he's like, he sort of came up with it, and you're like, man, how'd you? I don't know, just from where like the first time you ever heard Van Hagar, which is Why Can't This Be Love or whatever, and then to go into that, it's just like, oh man, I mean that it just such an elevation of just songwriting and vocal performance and just really feeling it, and great tune.
Yep. Couldn't agree more, man. My number 1 actually has not been mentioned by either of you or very much in the chat. So this song to me kind of exemplifies everything that I kind of listen to music for. It's like what I like most about music itself is I like a good, just like a good strong backbeat. I like a good, awesome guitar solo. Just a really catchy chorus. That oversimplifies things, but I did mention earlier you cannot air guitar this solo without the head scratch. My favorite Van Hagar song and also my favorite song of all time is When It's Love. I know, Steve, you're probably, about to throw up in your mouth a little bit, but yeah, Brian's giving me the thumbs down.
This floors me. I would have never picked this in a million years for you.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I thought it was just a perfect show closer. I've seen some people kind of like crap on that on that choice by Sammy to Steve's pointing to himself right now. For me, like, the reason I like it as a show closer is because it's got that feeling to it. It's got that emotion to it. And after all this big rock, you're so amped up, and this is just one of those, it's such a cool way to go out. You know what I mean? Like, and especially, all of us at the same time, na, 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 the whole crowd singing together and just, to end it. Like, it just has that epic, thanks for coming out tonight, we'll see you later kind of feel. It just, for some reason, to me, it just feels like a perfect closer. And I remember seeing the 2004 tour, and they closed with it. I'm like, man, this is a perfect choice. This just works so well. And so when he did it again on the Best of All Worlds tour, when I saw it last, I was like, yeah, there we go. That's, for me, that's just perfect. And this song is always my go-to. Anytime I want to hear, if I'm like in a good mood, if I'm in a bad mood, if I want to stay in that good mood, I'm listening to When It's Love. If I want to kind of pick myself up and like, don't be such a pissant, don't be in a bad, let's cheer up here a little bit. I'm pulling out When It's Love to really kind of get me going again. And again, I always picture that guitar solo, Eddie, like, and the head scratch, like it's that little bit of comedy there in a serious, just simple black and white performance video, really. I mean, the song has it all for me, and I know it's not a popular choice, but Chastity Crawley says, John, it's the feeling and emotion that it brings, right? Yeah, I mean, it is, Chastity. It's like, I think the lyrics, are done well. Travis Snyder, now I regret having it at 9. That's okay, man. We had 3 in common, and we were off only by 1 on another one, so that's pretty damn good. But yeah, it's just a combination of all the elements for me. And I think it just has all of my favorite elements of music and also, my favorite elements of Van Halen. It's got Eddie's playing. It's got the groove. It's just, I don't know. It ticks all the boxes for me. And I know, again, it's not a popular choice, but it is what it is, man. So. All righty. So there we go, man. The top 10 Van Hagar tunes, as discussed by Steve Wright from the Potter Than Hell podcast, and Brian Hendrickson, sometime co-host of the Talking Into Infinity podcast, when he can be bothered to. Oh my God! Look at this, man. Doug McCauley. He says, "I'm extra silly tonight. I found out the best man from my wedding was arrested and charged with serious crimes, so I needed a laugh and an escape." Man, sorry to hear that, Doug. That fucking sucks, dude.
That sucks big time.
Glad we can bring some entertainment to you, dude. And, we appreciate you giving us some laughs. There's some pretty good punning in there. So, totally. Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Sorry. I have a question for Steve. So Steve is a retired fireman, for people that don't know that. And how many years were you a fireman? Like 20 some plus years?
I've been a firefighter since 1986, but as a career firefighter, 31 years.
Okay. So do you watch firefighting shows and see stuff on TV and you're like, this would never happen? Is it pretty bad, or is it realistic?
Yeah. Like,
I always wanted to ask you this question.
Yeah, you watch Chicago Fire and like Backdraft and shit like that, and you're like, man, I really wish it was like that in a burning building, because you could see people, and your face masks are like this wide where you can see everything.
Great.
And there's no problem with smoke. The only one that was really close to how it actually is the movie Ladder 49.
Okay, I love that movie. That was a great movie. I thought.
The one scene on the Christmas Eve fire where he rescues the kids out of the house, and like he could barely see, and he goes and bumps into the Christmas tree and all that shit. That's as close as I think that they can do on a film. But but it's fun watching that shit. Like all those shows like Rescue Me and Chicago Fire, they're just soap operas set in a firehouse. That's all those shows are, and there are some pretty cool things. And some of the crazy calls that you see from them aren't really extremely far-fetched, because I've had some crazy shit that I was like, you get back, you're like, what the fuck just happened here?
Wow.
And it's fun. And it started with me watching Emergency in the 70s. I freaking love that. Still watch that show, and my son just became a paramedic this last year.
Awesome.
And so
Wow.
he was working with me at the firehouse, then he was going to school for it, and he was making substantially more money as a paramedic than he was in our fire department, the way the salaries were tiered. But so yeah, he's doing that, and it was great. I had a great career. It was time to go. And it's nice because I drive by there now and I'm like, thank you for paying me for not being there anymore.
Right. Well, I was
go ahead, John.
No, I was going to say, I always say, like, thank you, like police officers and firefighters and first responders. I always say, thanks for doing a job that most of us don't have the balls to do. I'm one of those huge back the blue guys and, all that kind of stuff. Cause I just feel like it's something that, so many people, it's a lot of times it's a thankless job, but it's like an unbelievably important job. So that's all credit to you. Much love to you for doing that, man. That's awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem.
Give us a quick backstory on the podcast. So I remember telling John when I was going on the Monsters of Rock cruise, and I knew you guys were going to be there. One of my things was to try to stalk you because I'd been listening to you for a couple years. And I so if you remember, I was in the pool or whatever, and I hear you talking, and I was like, I know that's him. So I go over there. You got to be thinking, who is this weirdo?
I'm like, I can't believe someone recognized my voice. I'm like, holy shit. And especially because I couldn't speak, because that was like maybe like the second or third day, I think.
Yeah.
And that was after, Rockin' the Armored Saint and Accept, and just like screaming out all these songs for so long. And I was touched. I was like, holy shit. Like, you think, who the hell listens to your show or whatever, but always it was cool. I'm glad we met, and I made another friend, and that's my main thing about since we started doing the podcast was I have made lifelong friends since we started doing this podcast. We went on vacation. My wife and I went on vacation with Sonny Pooney and his wife and Stephen Michael and his wife. And our wives get along like they're sisters. And, and the friends I've made, you guys now too. Yep. It's just lifelong friends I've made. And especially like in your 50s, like making new friends, like that doesn't happen. That does not happen. And I've always said that, like I do it with my buddies, BC and BB, they're firefighters also. And actually they're retired now too. And my son, Dylan, and we've been doing this for 15, 20 years, sitting out on my porch or at BC's house or something, having a couple of beers, just, hey, give me your top 10 Van Halen songs. You give me your top 10 Sammy Hagar songs, talking about Iron Maiden albums and, and even Dream Theater too. BC's a big Dream Theater fan. And so that's pretty much how it got going. And, like everything comes to an end when the show finally ends, we're still going to be doing that, whether it be, on the Monsters of Rock cruise or just sitting on the porch or whatever.
And I think shows like that always work the best. I think when people try too hard to have a concept, it just doesn't work. Like, you said it's you guys just bullshitting. And I know, for Brian and I, he had the idea for this show because, we were pretty much, the only two Dream Theater fans each of us knew. I mean, I've got one or two other friends kinda that are into the band, but we just sat there bullshitting about him. And he's like, we should do a podcast about it. I'm like, that's a good idea, because he had seen me do some stuff with a buddy of mine. And then, similarly, like, I've got a nerd podcast with my brother. And it was literally the same thing. We just sat there nerding out about Star Wars, and we're like, we should do a Star Wars podcast. And so we've been doing that for 10 years. Like, and it always works the best when it's just a natural extension of what you do. You're basically doing what you normally do. You just stick a mic. Exactly. You put a microphone in front of your face. So, yeah. So, well, all right, Rob. Look at that. I'm looking at the chat. Steve, thank you very much for coming on. Before we put you in the green room for a second, so we can close up, and then we'll talk to you a little bit off air. Before we let you go, tell everybody about Potter Than Hell, where they can find you, and frequency and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, check out Potter Than Hell podcast. We have a new episode every Friday. It comes out at noon, and we've been doing it for just over 7 years. We have not missed a Friday episode since we started, and actually this week it was really tough because we had between all of us, we had crazy shit going on. This last month has been a shit show, but every Friday at noon our show comes out. And we range from, we've even done a couple Dream Theater albums on the podcast. We talk about Van Halen, Kiss, Iron Maiden, pretty much any hard rock or metal. We even go off the grid sometimes. We'll do Anything Goes. Sonny Pooney's on a lot. We have a regular cast of characters that come on the show, and it's fun. And what I like about our podcast is when we record our core guys, we're all in the same room. And I wish that we had a way to do it like this, where we did like a live stream where the camera on everybody. It's tough with everyone in the same room, because someone picks something, you're flipping them off, or you're like shaking your head, or someone's talking about a song, you're playing air guitar to it. A lot of times you hear BC singing the song underneath when the guy's talking, but it's just a blast. And also check out the I Remember Now podcast. I do that with Ray Farrell from the Asylum podcast. We have generally like an episode out like once a month, sometimes twice a month. And we do both eras. We do Todd LaTorre era. We do Jeff Tate era. We do, like solo albums from the guys. We just did The Key from Jeff Tate from the Operation Mindcrime. Yeah. And we've had Brian Heaton on that just put out the Roads to Madness book, the touring history of Queensryche from the beginning to like 1997. We've had him on a couple different times. And so we're trying to get Pamela Moore to come on, and we're working on. We're working on. We want to get her on something fierce, and so it's two fun things we do, and check them out.
Awesome. Well, Steve, thank you so very much for coming on. We appreciate you, man.
Thanks for having
me. Oh, anytime. We're gonna have you on again. We're going to do the top 10 Roth tracks. I think, judging from the chat, everyone actually had a good time with this. So we're going to hit the other era of Van Halen. So we will definitely have you back on for that, since that is your wheelhouse. So we'll hit you up and get that scheduled. And again, man, thanks a lot for coming on. We'll put you in the green room here real quick and close up, and then we'll talk to you in a little bit.
Thank you. It was a blast. Good night.
Thanks, man. So there he goes, Steve Wright from the Potter Than Hell podcast. That was awesome, Brian. Excellent get. That was a blast doing that with him. He's very, very knowledgeable. Had some awesome selections. It didn't turn out to be one of those like, I'm just going to pick the hits type of things, which was awesome. So appreciated that. Before we go, I got a few things in the chat here real quick. So I got to say, guys, really appreciate some really kind words that are going on here. Chastity Crawley, she's saying, the show is a great escape when stressful situations are going on. It tends to come out at good times. Doug, obviously is going through a little bit of a rough patch here. So appreciate him. Hopefully, again, man, hopefully that, it turns out well for you as well as it can. Man. So yeah, you guys are just great, man. We're glad you guys have a good time with the show. It's really why we do it. We like bullshitting, but it's awesome to know that, people are getting some entertainment and a little bit of break from reality out of us. So that's pretty badass, man. So we, as we always say, man, we love and appreciate you guys in the chat. It's just great hanging out with you guys every other week. And thank you very much. So Brian, as I said, I will get this Saturday nailed down. We will have Mr. Paul Logue back on the show. And awesome. We will be doing a deep dive into Queensryche's Empire album. And I think we might be able to get a little bit of information on the writing for James's upcoming solo record. We'll see where that's at. I honestly don't know where that's at, given what's going on with Dream Theater. So it'll be interesting to see where that's at. But where you're concerned, I hope your power comes back on. If not, well, that's what you get for being mean to me all the time.
I thought it was funny, and that Steve said, you don't know people and you make all these friends, whereas you and I started as friends, and let's be honest, now we just kind of sit around trying to think of ways to murder each other. So it's kind of the
right.
It's really the opposite, right?
Yep.
But no, I really want to piggyback on what you said, man. Sometimes we start the show, and you and I are always kind of like, are people going to join? And we know it's like, if they join, fine. If they don't join, it's okay too. We're doing this for fun. But man, when people are on here and they're commenting all the time and they're into the show and it's multiple people, and I don't know, sometimes we've had 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever the numbers are. Any one is great. And like, I don't think you guys realize how much you guys make the show, and being able to comment and have your input and stuff. That's what makes this show, I think, different and unique from other shows. And again, thanks everybody. Awesome.
Yeah, much appreciated. I mean, it's just cool, Mike's Musical Rehab. I did not know this. He says, I discovered the show from meeting you at Pizza 216 before the John Petrucci show. I did not know that, Mike. That's awesome. I remember meeting you, and we were bullshitting about it. And of course, I had to show my podcast. But man, that's awesome. Thank you for tuning in. That's really cool, man. So thanks very much. For those of you guys who want to hang out afterwards, we do have a Discord server. I don't remember how to get the damn address, but let's see here. Is it invite people? Maybe. Oh, there we go.
We need Kale for that.
Yeah. So all right, I will put the link in the chat here. So that is the link to our Discord server. If you guys want to keep bullshitting, we do have that set up. So yeah, hang out there if you'd like to keep bullshitting some Van Hagar or Dream Theater or any other stuff you guys want to talk about. So, guys, once again, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Talking Into Infinity, a Dream Theater-centric podcast. We will be right back here in 2 weeks. The date will be, let's see, Thursday, August, what the hell's the 24th? Yeah. Well, no, 22nd. Man, I'm all over the place.
22nd.
Yeah. So it'll be Thursday, August 22nd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tune in there. Again, if you guys are checking us out on YouTube, don't forget to do the like thing, the subscribe thing, and of course, the notification bell thing. The notification bell is very important so that you do not miss the upcoming Paul Logue episode, which again is going to be on a Saturday morning, probably 11 a.m., noon, something like that, Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, if you guys are looking for audio replays of the show, just Google Talking Into Infinity podcast. So until next time, guys, thank all of you guys in the chat. Doug McCauley, Mike's Musical Rehab, Chastity Crawley, Aaron Taft, my new best friend, Travis Snyder, Rob from Canada, Zauber96, Johan, all you guys, man. Always great to see you. Best wishes to our buddy Kale. Doug, hope things get better for you, man. And man, much love to all you guys. And as always, we'll see you next time. And guys, Carpe Diem.